Hey, all, welcome to my channel. I'll admit it's turning out to be an interesting, very interesting race year. Yes, Lando now is like 52 points. Congrats to Lando, by the way, for winning the Singapore race, F1 race. Um, Granted, he's gotten 52. He's like now short. I mean, he's shy of 52 points away from the first place for the championship from Max. The only difference though is this. Granted, now there are a couple remaining races remaining, and like of them, I think about three of them have sprints now. So Lando needs to win all of them practically, as well as win those sprints, but also win the fastest lap as well too. That point, because I mean, it could have been 51 points actually. He could have been down by 51 points, but I think so in this situation, it was a case where chances are he's probably going to be replaced later on this year. It's kind of sad to see, but even though if you ask for Formula One, the face of Formula One outside of Lewis Hamilton, you probably would have think of anyone in the U.S. You would think of basically Daniel Ricciardo because of the Drive to Survive series from Netflix, and he became the star outside of Steiner. He also became the star of that show as well too. But in reality, is like I mean, it looks like he did one favor for Horner basically by taking away that point from Norris for the fastest lap. By doing so, uh, he helped out also Max and the team. So I don't know if that favor might come down and will help him down the line. The sad part is Checo finishing 10th. I mean, he did come back up. He did go up, but again, it's Checo. He should have been at least in the top five or top six for sure. Uh, Sad part about Hamilton is, I mean, as I said, like being the face, being the goat in a ways, or the goat so far. Sad part is going from third to sixth. I think that's more of a situation where that was a kind of a management style and strategy that kind of backfired for Mercedes, and that I guess is showing how Toto Wolff is not adapting. I don't think he knows how to adapt. The fact that Toto Wolff, when he came on, I think he inherited such a good car and good team that because of that, it was able to go so far. And I think we're now starting to, I mean, if you don't see it, you should see it and start seeing it now. The way Toto Wolff is, that I don't think he deserves to be the principal. And it's funny enough, 4 or 5 years ago, they were thinking that he should be the president of the FIA, which in reality is showing this made no sense. And Christian Horner was right. I think Horner called it out too, even in Drive to Survive at one point. He even said he inherited a team. We'll see eventually as the rules change. We'll see how he adapts. If he adapts well, then maybe he does deserve. But in reality, is he hasn't adapted, and you're seeing it. Um, Horner himself now. It's kind of sad part is Horner himself, he's adapting, but the problem is he's not adapting fast enough because let's be honest, the fact that he's losing his talent. When I mean talent, I mean his technical team. They are going to other teams at that point, and he's losing him, and he's not able to replace him with the right talent. I think he's trying to adjust for that as well too. So we'll see what happens with that as well. But the real thing is basically the championship itself between Max and Lando. So Max, I think, can still win it because if Max between now until the end of the season he wins, not wins, but if he places his second place in each of the races consistent, well, pretty much has to finish second in all the races, he should be okay. He should be able to win it. Even if Lando were to win the remaining races, as well as, let's say, win the sprints and as well as win the fastest points, if Max is able to win second, get second place for the remaining races, he should still win the championship, and I honestly think he will. I think probably in Austin we'll see Max win that one most likely in Brazil as well too. Las Vegas might be a little tricky, but I think put it this way: I think for the two remaining U.S. races, I think we'll see Max win those two, and then we'll see what happens from there. But the reality is if he doesn't win those two, if he doesn't finish second or above in any of the races, it's going to be a very, very close race then. Um, Unfortunately for Red Bull, unless Checo starts finishing in the top three as well too, and they could just somehow hold off Oscar. Red Bull, I think, has probably lost the constructors' cup. And then let's be honest, I think what everyone's missing here in this race as well too, which you've seen in the other races, the fact that Oscar finished third and ahead of Lewis and such, I think it's showing that again we are witnessing someone where we're witnessing probably another Max, but in this situation where I think he'll be more fine tuned per se. And when I mean fine tuned, I mean more to the point of like being a little bit more mature on the driving aspect of thing. Because let's be honest, it seems like Red Bull seems to get all the immature drivers. They go for the raw talent, but they don't know how to hone them to the point of making them mature. Because I'm not taking anything away from Sebastian Vettel, but let's be honest. After he left Red Bull, we didn't see much from him, and like he was always constantly complaining. Same thing with Max right now. He's constantly complaining to the point like he's reverting back to his old ways of like being reckless when he needs to. Sometimes that's good, but you're older now at this point, and you've been in the game for like close to 7 years now. I mean, you should have adapted at that point to the point of like you should have some skills of or not skills, but more of a little bit of maturity and wisdom to learn how to defend properly. Lando, I'm not going to deny his skills. He's really good. I'm not denying that. But if I had a choice between Lando and Oscar, I'm choosing Oscar in a heartbeat. Actually, quite honestly, between Lando and Sainz, I would choose Sainz. I think if Sainz was in this McLaren, I think it'd be a different story. Quite honestly, um, Ferrari, they are coming close. They have the shot to get the second place constructors cup. I mean, they're only about maybe 34 points away. I mean, if both Sainz and Leclerc can finish in the top five, look for Ferrari to be in the second spot for the constructors cup. Leclerc, I think he's pretty much done. I mean, not done per se, but he's not basically catching up to Lando or Max. Honestly, I mean, yeah, granted, he's only like maybe 30, 34 points away from Lando. Unless he wins the next four races, he has to win the next four, plus get the fastest lap, plus get the three sprints for him to have a shot against Max. I don't think we're going to see anything. I think it's going to come down to between Lando and Max. But I think, like I said, I think Max is definitely going to be winning Austin for sure. If he wins Las Vegas, I think then he's got it. I think in this situation, Max has got to win at least two races, and then if he finishes in the top four in the next couple races, I think he should be good at that point, mathematically speaking, depending on how Lando drives as well too. Um, Oscar, I mean, he has a shot to catch Lando as well too for the number two spot, but we'll wait and see. It's sad to see Lewis in sixth place in the Constructors' Cup. How the mighty have fallen, but I think it's more of a case where like he can only do so much with the car. Let's be honest, like between him and George, look at George. I mean, like everyone's like saying, "Hey, George is doing really well." And reality is he's not. He's like in seventh place behind Hamilton. So we're seeing that Hamilton has the experience, has the drive. I think he just needs the car. And the thing is, Mercedes has not. Mercedes was not listening to him, of course. They didn't make the right adjustments, so he's got a pretty crappy car. It'll be interesting to see how Ferrari does and how he does with Ferrari next season. I mean, if he goes right off the bat, starts winning the races, then it shows for those 2 3 years, for the past 2 3 years that he was with Mercedes. Had he left earlier, like to McLaren or somewhere else, he probably would have gained more races. It would, honestly enough, I would have said it would have been more fitting for him to have left Mercedes to back to McLaren where he first started and won his first championship. That if he ended his season with them by winning the championships for them and then being the greatest driver of all time at that point, it would have been very fitting, I think, in that situation. Um, Again, with Daniel, I hate to say this, but like, it, even in it, there was a couple of interviews 2 days ago where Christian was refusing, not refusing, but he was redirecting or changing the subject basically about Daniel Ricciardo's status within the RB team basically. And it was a case where like someone brought up to the point of like you had Gasly, you had Albon, you had a few of these young people, and they pretty much were demoted back to what it was and like left. Uh, Quite honestly, and like it seems like Daniel is the only one that has gotten this preferential treatment. Now the question is why? There's something going on as to why Daniel is getting this preferential treatment. I honestly don't know, but the fact that he's getting this, I mean, honestly, this is a guy where under the red RB team, seeing where he's at, by now he would have been replaced. I think if it was another driver, that driver would have been replaced. Let's be honest. The fact that he got the fastest lap for Singapore, yeah, it's great, but he still finished 18th out of 18. So it doesn't really bode well for him. And I think Christian, some might say like, yeah, if he were to be promoted to the Red Bull, to the primary Red Bull, honestly, I don't know if that would have done anything as well too. Quite honestly, because it's if he can't get anything out of the car himself, and look, Suki's been able to get some stuff out of the car. If he can't get anything out of the car, how's he going to do well in the Red Bull? I think his skills have diminished to the point where like I don't think he's able to. I don't think he's able to basically drive at this point. He's probably got to go into another, like not Monza, one of those rally cars or something like that. I think it's time for him to go into there at that point. But in any case, again, it's congrats to Lando Norris. But it'll be interesting to see how this series turns out. I would love to know your thoughts. Do you think Max still has a shot of winning it, or do you think Lando will beat him, or do you think we'll see somewhere where Leclerc comes out of nowhere? If Red Bull doesn't finish in the top three, or Max doesn't finish in the top three, and let's say Leclerc starts winning all the races and as well as the sprints, do you think Leclerc has that shot? It'll be interesting to see how this plays out. At least let's put it this way: at least it's a better season than, or at least it's a much more competitive season than it was for the past 2 years. So this will be interesting to see. I mean, I kind of wish we kind of saw what it was when Max finally overtook Lewis. But then again, that was a case where there was a little bit of controversy. Let's be honest about that. But outside of that, it'll be interesting to see how this plays out. With that, I'll leave it at that. If you like this video, please hit the like button. And if you haven't subscribed, I ask you, please, if you could hit the subscribe button. But with that, I'll leave it at that. Again, you can leave your comments in the comment section, and I do read them all, and I do respond to them if it's a question or such, when they warrant a response, that is. And also, again, let me know your thoughts as well too. And like, if you do love F1 like I do, and like want to interact, we can do a live together, whatever it may be. I would love to do a live and sort of quote unquote podcast with others about this. But with that, I'll leave it at that. Unfiltered, unedited, and of course, always unrehearsed. Until next time.